So guys, today we're going to be learning about loops. And loops are basically, there are lots of kinds of loops, but today we're going to be focusing on the for loop. And the for loop is basically repeating stuff until a condition is met. So repeating stuff 10 times, repeating stuff 50 times, and that kind of stuff. So to write down this code, this is JavaScript by the way, you type in for. And then you're going to be putting in some parentheses, and inside these parentheses, this is where you're going to be putting in all the stuff to determine how many times you're going to be repeating it. So first off, right here, we're going to need a variable. You can name this variable anything you want. It can be something super complicated. It doesn't really matter at all. So you type in a variable. So it's like I. So this variable I is going to be set to 0. In this middle part, it's going to repeat it until I is less than 10. So 10 is how many times it's going to repeat it. And in the right side, it's going to be putting in something like I plus plus. Okay, so in these three sections, they do separate things. So in the first one, variable I is equal to 0. It's set it to 0. And the middle one is going to be repeating it until it's less than 10. And the one on the right, it's going to be what it's doing each time it gets repeated. So here, and then we're going to open some curly brackets. And inside these curly brackets, we're going to be putting in the code that we want to repeat. So console.log in this case. Okay. And we're going to be writing down what we want. So I want to write down hello in console.log 10 times. So let's run it. It runs it 10 times. It puts it down 10 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 times. And if you want to make it so it's easier to count, let's do this real quick. So let's do I and plus hello. So now it actually says what it is for us. And just to make it a little more organized, let's do this. Clear and then run. And see here, it's a little more organized now. So now it actually counts it for us. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so you're probably wondering why it ends at 9. So this brings up a really interesting point. It's because it starts at 0 instead of 1 like it normally would. So if you actually count it without looking at this number right here, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's actually repeating 10 times, but it starts at 0. Now, if you actually want to make it so that this works a bit more properly, so it's not as confusing, you can just set this to 1. Starts at 1 instead, and it's greater than or equal to. So now it works just the same, it still repeats it 10 times, but instead of starting at 0, it starts at 1. Now, this doesn't really matter too much unless you're making some kind of complicated game that actually requires it to be this organized, but in this way, it's a little easier to see how many times it's repeated. So yeah. Okay, so this is also really useful. So as you can see, it's completely accurate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's no tricks going on here. It's not a trick or anything. So if I wanted to repeat this 500 times, no, not 500, 1,000 times, run it. It's gonna take a moment. This is gonna lag a lot. Boom! It repeated it 1,000 times. So all this code repeated 1,000 times, and it actually counts it for me. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever, blah 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 blah. It keeps going down and down and down. 200, 300, 400, 500, and 600, and so on until eventually it reaches 1,000 at the very end. So this is completely, it's a perfect piece of code right here that repeats 1,000 times. So instead of having me, just copy and paste it or just writing this down 1,000 times, I only have to do this and it repeats it 1,000 times for me. I mean, think of how tedious it would have been for me to just keep doing this the whole time. It would have taken forever. And it's not even working right now. That's, look at it. Anyway, this is a great way to save time, and it's really time efficient too. So yeah, that's how you do loops, blah, or